Hey there, welcome to Her Truth Revealed, unraveling our midlife era. I'm your host, Wonderful Morrison. This space is for the woman who's done pretending, done hiding, and ready to step fully into her truth. Midlife isn't about fading into the background. It's a time where resilience lights the way and authenticity becomes the loudest voice in the room. In this season of our lives, we are more than just survivors. We are creators, revolutionaries, and unapologetic women rewriting the rules. I've been through my battles, rebuilding from loss, betrayal, and heartache. But here's the truth. Every challenge, every tear, and every setback has led me to this moment of profound transformation. Together, we're going to dive into raw, real conversations that shatter stereotypes, tackle the tough stuff, and embrace the powerful magic that is midlife. So, if you're ready to live this chapter with boldness and joy, hit subscribe. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a review so we can keep this revolution going. Ladies, no more masks, no more apologies, just the truth of who we are. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of Her Truth Revealed, the podcast where all midlife women come together and have a conversation about our journey. Like, what are we doing? Do we know what we're doing? Do we know where we're at? Do we know where we're going? We don't, and that's okay because we're going to do it together. So, with that being said, today I have a really special guest. I met this woman and I thought, God, we're going to be best friends for the rest of our lives. We have so much in common, and whenever we get on a call, it's like, the thing is, though, it's hard to get us on a call, though, because that has been a challenge. Kim Anderson is a well-versed woman when it comes to dating in our mature years. But here's the thing. She's not a dating service. She's not a dating anything. She is really about figuring out who we are in the time we're at right now before we just start jumping into relationships because we're lonely, we're bored, right? We're all the things that feel like, well, society says I shouldn't be this and I shouldn't be. No, she's gonna today break down all the shoulds, woulds, coulds. But before we get into that conversation, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for our listenership. Thank you for the support. Thank you for sharing conversations because midlife is no joke. And it's not just about menopause and perimenopause. Those are huge factors. But there's these things called life and transition and going from raising kids to not raising kids, going from a full-time corporate to not at all, going from a busy day to, my gosh, I have time to read a book. So what are we doing now? How are we experiencing life now? And I just want to say thank you to our audience for sharing, for communicating, for reviewing, for making us top 10% in the global world of podcasts. Thank you.
Wow.
I appreciate you all. And all right, without further ado, let's have Kim on the show to tell us. Kim, first, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Oh my gosh. We're getting ready to really do this thing. It's taken us a minute, but I feel like, whatever is about to come forth is just going to be such a blessing to those that
Yes,
hear it. So I'm really excited
I
to be here.
agree.
Thank you so much for having me, Wonderful.
I could not have you on here. After our first conversation, I thought, oh my gosh, we've got to figure out multiple ways to stay on calls and get to know each other more. But what you're doing is really fascinating because you are,
You.
when you first said it, I said, oh, so are you a dating coach? And you were really clear. No, I do not set people up. I do not introduce people to each other. I am here specifically to heal the soul of some broken hearts.
You
Right?
said it so well. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sure.
So tell us how you got here, though. Like, what brought you to healing broken hearts?
Well, usually you're really good at what you've overcome, right? That's really your gift. And sometimes while we're going through it, we're not understanding that it's really not for us or about us, but it's about learning it so that we can share it with other people. And so yeah, I'm really good at it because I had to overcome a lot. And
Yeah.
and in this realm of partnership and marriage and dating, this has been 30 years in the making because I just celebrated this month my 30th wedding anniversary. Right?
Woo!
So this whole process that sort of came to me 30 plus years ago, like I literally remember as I was going through it and overcoming all the stuff that like it was coming to me in such a way that from a natural life perspective, there's no way I should have gotten it. Right? There was nothing in my
Mm,
circumstances that was saying, "Hey Kim, do this." And I was like, when I think back now, it was divine, right? Like there was nothing
mm,
that said, it wasn't like my parents sat me down and said, "Hey, sweetheart, if you want to have a successful life and a successful marriage, this is what you should do." That was not what was happening, right? Like there was
right.
nothing. And honestly, there was no couples for me to copy because
Right.
I'll just give you guys this little tidbit. Like, so if I look at my grandparents, my maternal grandparents who were married my whole life, but they slept in separate beds
Their whole life.
all of my life that I knew. So there wasn't this intimacy, there
Mm,
wasn't this, we're happy to be married to
yeah.
each other. There was just, we're married, we're together, but it wasn't like this, we're bonded, we're happy to be together. We
Right.
we're s- we love what we've created together. Like there wasn't any of that. It was just we're
Right.
together. And what was even funnier is if I could put it in these terms, so you just understand how devoid I was of role models in this area. Those same grandparents, because my parents at that point were divorced my whole childhood. Even further than that, my grandparents went to separate churches. Like, can you imagine? Like, there is no unity. There is no
Ah,
connectedness. They're just living together in the same house. They don't sleep in the same bed and they don't even go to the same place to worship on Sundays. Like it was just like
well,
there's
yeah. So that modeling is definitely did not set you up for 30 years of happiness.
that's all I'm saying. So for me, like I was really like is this all there is, or have I resigned myself to the mess that I've created? Because let me tell you,
That's good.
30 plus years ago, I found myself in a mess.
Mm,
And when I say a mess, I'd had a child out of wedlock. And, it's such crazy terms today. But back then I felt like I was a complete failure. The thing that rang in my ears the most back then was that I had become a statistic.
mm,
And I was just so devastated that I felt like here I am, this Black woman, and now she's a single mother. The dude's not going to marry her. You have this son. What are you going to do?
mm,
And literally, it feels like things just started from that point because my favorite word is that I had to acknowledge where I was, right? I just had to get really,
oof.
really real with myself and go, girl, you did this. You
Right.
can't blame your mom. You can't blame, no, no, no. You did this. This is on you. If you broke it, you can fix it. And so
That's
in
good.
that scary, ridiculous, almost out of hope place, that I was like, okay, this is on me. This is on me. And so what do we do when things are like out of control and we know like we can't fix it?
Yeah. Or we think we can't, right? Because you're
Right.
in the turmoil of your experience and you've got
Hmm.
another child, which let's be honest, right now in midlife, there is a statistical fact that there's more divorced single people than
Hmm.
there are married. So that tells you right there there's a sense of corrosion, but I don't think it's just based on relationship is what
Mm.
I learned from you is it's a like that
Right.
level of
Right.
honesty and that level of accountability
Hmm.
we may have in our career, we may have in buying a car, but we don't necessarily look at our personal intimate relationships as a place to because it hurts. It's painful. And
It
I
is.
wanted to also share prior to getting on this call with you, I was look I something popped up in my Instagram, and it's
Mhm,
this guy, and he said that our most important decision as human beings
mhm.
to have a well-rounded, successful life is this one choice. And we
Mhm.
need to be serious about how we go into this choice. And I'm sitting here thinking, we're going to talk about finances. He's going to talk about, right? Because I'm thinking that's what it's about, finances and, or careers, you should. And he said, your life partner. That
Oh,
is
that's
the number one decision. All
who
of us
you will
need to get
marry.
it together because
Amen.
we spend 80% of our life with this one
One
person,
person.
and it affects
Oh,
all
yes,
areas of our lives.
everything
And
else.
it kind of caught me off guard because I really thought it'd be career or money. Those were
Mhm,
the two things I thought he'd talk about. Here's a
mhm,
serious decision you have to make. And then I was like, oh, that makes so much sense why you are really showing up in the space of you're not introducing people, you're not a matchmaker. You're
mhm,
here to talk about why it is we need to hold ourselves accountable for
mhm.
this one most important decision we have to make.
You know, and it really is, and I think we really do have to sort of start to get back to basics. If you look at
Mhm.
what's happening in the country and in the world, we really do have to sort of get back to wholesome basics. Let's really talk about it because I think a lot of the corrosion, like you said, is because there's so many cracks in the foundation of sort
Mm,
of what is, can I say the word right? But what is really going to set us up for success with, if with looking at it from a longevity standpoint? Like seriously, like I've seen statistics that say, yo, hey, if you want to get out of poverty, one, don't have any kids before you get married, and then marry someone that you like and stay with them. Like it's like this, and stay with them and build a life that will get you out of poverty. And it seems like it doesn't make sense. It seems incongruent. Like, what do you
right.
mean? What really I should
It's
do is
not
I
about a
should go get a
job.
career. I should
Yeah.
go get a career, and then I'll get out of. It's like, no, 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 no. First, just do these simple things. Like, just don't do those and do these, and you will find in the long run that you will get yourself out of whatever circumstance you might find yourself in financially. How does that even work? Like, it doesn't even seem like it would match. Say, this is
Right.
on one hand, and they're like, yeah, get married and have kids and raise a family. That's gonna, you're like, what?
Yeah.
But it does something to your soul. It does something to your heart. And this is
Yeah.
the thing. Let me just drill in on this a little bit more, wonderful. These things are matters of the heart. When
Mm.
I was a mess, my heart, not the blood pump, but the spirit, the soul of me
Yeah.
was wounded and hurt and didn't feel worthy and all the things. It was my heart. It was my heart that was so hurt that attracted to me other individuals with wounds and hurts that would match my own. And then together, guess what? We created more wounds and more hurt, trying to figure out why life isn't working because
Yeah.
we are simply just haven't accepted our wholeness, our wellness, our goodness. We just haven't allowed that in. And so we just keep going down the road that we think would make sense. We get more career. We go back to school. And I'm not saying that those things
Yes.
in their purpose and in their season aren't necessary. However, you want to do it from a place of receiving as opposed to a place of seeking. Like, I'm chasing this
Oh,
or I'm chasing
yes.
that. We want to do it from a place of increase or evolving. Like, I have decided to become more than I was. And so now, therefore, I'm looking for where increase can flow into my life. Not have to get everything I can right here, right now, and I'm stingy and I'm Scrooge and I'm tight and I'm holding on for dear life. No, but so often it's from that secondary place of, which is really fear, right? Which we had
Mhm.
already. It's really fear. I'm afraid this is all I can have. And so, therefore, I have to hold on to it for dear life because someone may come and try to take it. And then what? will happen to me? What will I become if someone takes this one thing that I'm holding on to? Can't you even hear the fear and the trepidation and the anxiety in my voice is saying it that way?
Yeah.
But when we can relax and accept ourselves, I told someone the other day, I'm not even into like self improvement anymore. Like I used to read self help books all the time. And I said, I got to a point where I was just like, I'm more about self acceptance these
Mm,
days than I am about like self improvement. And it's like, can I just be okay being me?
yes.
Doesn't that even feel so much better just saying it that way as opposed to what we were just saying before? It's like, no, I'm good. I'm okay.
Right.
I'm okay. I'm worthy. And when we can just sort of step back, relax, and take a deep breath. We're then in a place where we can now start to receive. Whew, and start to go with the flow of life instead of fighting against it all the time because that's what we think is going to bring us the answers that we want. That was a long way around that.
Yeah. I mean, but I love what you said and I love the passion behind it. I wrote it down. We need to come from a place of receiving versus seeking. And a
Mhm.
reason I think that that is such an impactful message is because let's talk about midlife women really quick. Okay. Let's just talk about this
Let's
age
do it.
group. So, midlife is between the ages of 40 to 65, is what
Mhm.
they say, right?
Mhm.
And when you look at that group of people out there and there
Mhm.
is more single versions of us than there are married versions of us, we're not good at receiving. Receiving sounds extremely foreign. Like we know it conceptually, right? Like
Mhm.
logically, yes, I receive the phone call. I
Mhm.
receive the email.
Mhm.
I receive my winning ticket. But receiving like from the heart, that is a little bit deeper. Kim, tell us a little bit about when you decided I am going to move forward on this whole healing the broken hearts. How do you help us understand this space of receiving and what you just said, the self-acceptance era? I am with you. Like, I got it. We self-help. We know. But then we're
Mhm.
also at the point where it's like, are we broken? That broken though? I don't think so.
Exactly.
So how do you help like a okay, I just said young lady because I still think I'm 51, but in my head I'm like 31. So
Right.
if there's a 55-year-old woman that's single that just has been doing the work and her heart seeks a companionship, how do you help us understand what receiving is?
Well, so can I just say the name of the sort of what we put together? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
In my midlife-ness, I finally had to release this, and it's called Divine Perfect Mate. So if you're
Mm.
hearing this, I just want you to go to divineperfectmate.com and there's a free download there. That's my commercial. There's a free download there that actually talks about how to get to receiving. And believe it or not, for me, receiving is the final step. I kind of went through 8 steps. I kind of narrowed it down, and receiving is like the eighth step. And so there
Walk
is
us through the 8.
Okay,
Walk us
I'll
this.
walk you through the 8. So here we go. So the first one is acknowledge that we kind of just have to remember how I said I just had to just get really real with myself. Kim,
Yeah.
this is on you. So I just kind of had to acknowledge the situation. Like, like just quit playing games with yourself and acknowledge it. Deal with it. Whether it's good, it's bad, it's hurtful, it's ugly, just acknowledge it.
Mm.
The next one is recognize. And I use recognize in a way that it's sort of like you just begin to recognize your patterns. Do you always end up dating the same man, even though you're I thought I was doing something different, but dag nabbit, if I'm not right back where I was with someone who doesn't look the same, but is the same.
Right.
Like we just keep going around the mountain. So when I say recognize, I mean recognize our patterns. And then once we're there, the next one is overcome. So this is a point
Mm.
where we start to shift. We're not settling for what's been, but we're actually starting to deal with, and this is such a crucial point, we start to deal with what we've seen. We start to deal with the patterns, we start to deal with the mess that we're in, and we start to make active plans to set them aside, to overcome them. Okay, so step 3 would be overcome. Then this next one is huge. It's forgive.
That needs like a mic drop moment.
It's
Yeah.
it's everything. It's everything. And we needed those first 3 steps to get to forgiveness, because forgiveness it's the real deal. It's the crux of moving forward, because you get to a place where you've seen the nastiness. You might have discovered some family patterns, and
Like your grandparents that you were talking about. Yeah.
see them, and you have to then, I'll say this: forgiveness is a process. It's not just, okay, yeah, I forgive them. Remember when we said this, the heart is woo, it's
Yes.
really about the heart. In your heart of hearts, you have to let go and release all of those things. You have to forgive them. Forgive my grandparents. They didn't know any better. They just did what they thought was best. Forgive my parents. They didn't know any better. So they got married and they got divorced. They didn't know any better. So
Mhm.
forgive them. That guy that I got pregnant by, you know what? He didn't know any better. I mean, obviously, he didn't know any better. He would have done better if he knew better, and that was a big one for me. Can I just be, because
Mm.
I had the manifestation in my arms of that personal mistake and misstep. So forgiving that guy in all of this was so big for me. And then the main one, is that we have to forgive ourselves. Because if
Yes.
we knew better, we would have done better. But
Mhm.
where we are was just a collection of the things that we went through before. But right then, in that moment, when we are at forgiveness, we have to include ourselves in it so that we can truly, truly begin to heal in our heart.
Yeah.
So it is not, when folks are with me, when we get to forgive, it is not a little thing. We don't rush through forgiveness, because
Oh,
truly,
good.
if we do, you have to go back and do it again. So we might as well just dig in, go through it, cry, laugh, do whatever we got to do, but to
Yeah.
get through that place of forgiveness, because once you've done that, then you are truly on the other side. And once you're on the other side, that's when things start to get fun. So when we're on the other side of forgiveness, my next step is dream, because
Mm.
you've done the work. And so now you're in the active plan of seeing what you want, what's truly now in your heart, because now you can accept it. Now you can say, you know what? I really do feel worthy. I really do want someone to love, that loves me and that I can love back truly. So then we're at a point of dreaming. And I like to say, this is where there are no limits. Tell me what you want. Describe him to me. What do you want to do? What do you want to, like, just for real? Like, at this point, it's a blank canvas. We can create anything you want, but be clear that this is what you want. So tell me, give it to me. Tell me what you want. Dream. It's your life. You can have it. Yes. We get to that point. So the dream state, the dream step, you're writing things down, you're taking things off, you're putting stuff on, and you get to the point where you're like, okay, I tell ladies at this step, we're going to come up with 10 solid things about the man you want. 10 solid things, not he's 6'2", he's, he makes 100,000.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. If because there's this thing going around, like, they want high quality men. Have you heard that saying?
No, but
But you
I can feel it. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
get with that.
So what I like to narrow down is that this point is going to be qualities and characteristics, not superficial things. He has to have a house. Okay, but do you have a house? I mean, like, we'll get there, but
Right, right.
we begin to understand that what's going to happen is that like creates like. And that leads us into step 6, which is become.
Mhm.
So all of that you have dreamed in your heart, you're going to become. And now that's not a small work either, but it's so much more. At that point, you're operating from a love of yourself, that these things become fun. So when I was experiencing this wonderful, what some of the things I did for myself when I was in this stage at this step was that, like, I like dated myself. I went to restaurants by myself, and I discovered I like this, I
Ah.
don't like that. I went to museums by myself, and I was like, I like this, I don't like that. I like this, I enjoy going to plays. Because at that point I wanted someone that was, like, culturally aware. He liked
Mhm.
finer things in life. So then I discovered that I might need to develop that part of me. I might want to, go to an opera. Do I like opera? I didn't, but I went to experience it for
Yeah.
myself, not to please anyone else, but just to find out if I liked it. I went to movies by myself. Like I just did things to find out what I liked.
Uh,
It was an actual fun process for me. I shopped, and when I went shopping for clothes, I would look at clothes that I liked, not what was like what this is fashionable. This is what everybody's doing, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do what everybody's doing. I want to find out who I am. What do I like? What do I want? And
yeah.
so in that phase, and not everybody's will be kind of like that, but it's just you're
Right.
becoming what you want to attract, who you want to attract. You're not doing it to attract them. You're doing it
Right.
because you're loving you. But in
Yes.
doing that, you're going to start to attract different people to you. Okay? So that was number 6. Number 7, also a favorite of mine. I call it insist. So here's what's going to
Oh,
happen. Here's what's going to happen. You're growing, right? You're becoming, you're seeing new people, you're wearing new things. People are going to start to ask you, what are you doing? What's going on? Are you seeing someone? Like it's inevitable. Like people are going to start to ask you what's happening. Like you got a different hairstyle, you got new shoes. Like what are you doing? People are going to start to
yeah.
ask you, right? And I love this part because the world, the universe, God is going to start to give you clues. And I likened it to I had created this wonderful list in my dream step. And then I got evidence.
Mm.
And so, since we're talking about relationships, I'll keep it in the realm of men. So, certain men became started to come to me, like like you're doing stuff.
Right.
People start to notice, and
Starting to receive versus to see.
exactly. But what was presented wasn't always completely accurate to the list that I had put together.
Mm.
So they were good, right? Like they were good, but were they right for me according to what I had asked for? Were they right, or were they just good? And this is where insisting comes into play because you have to have the courage to insist on what you asked for,
Oh, this is good.
right? Or settling for what is being presented.
It
Not
really just tests your resolve also. I feel like this step is really ensuring what you want. And if it isn't and it's just good, then you just keep working on yourself. I totally see the big picture now.
right.
Okay.
And here's what also can happen. You can go back and renegotiate. Well, you know what? Really, right? Like because you got you're working from something. And then you can really say, you know what, though, I thought this was a deal breaker and it's not. Like I can
Yeah,
accept that. So let me
that's
maybe switch
good.
some things around. Or you can say, or the exact opposite. You can say, you know what? I thought I could accept that. And you know what? I can't. I will not. So therefore, let me take that off the list and add this. Like it's really that time where it's like fine tuning. Am I willing to
Yeah,
accept this? Do I believe that this is it? Like that this is it? Or do
yeah,
I think if I go back, I can even do better? And so
yeah.
I found myself at a place where there was this guy that came to me and on paper, wonderful. On paper, if I had presented it to you, you'd have been like, "Girl, like
He's it. It.
what more do you want?" Right?
Yeah,
On paper, he was, it looked like he was 10 out of 10. But in my heart, I was like, "There's something not, it's not all there." And I
yeah,
remember I was really kind of like, this was my moment. Like, am I going
yeah.
to take this guy who looks really good on paper? I mean, like really good on paper. Or am I going to send him back and believe I can do better? That there's still
You started it. You started this conversation with saying, this is a matter of the heart. And I just want to be encouraging because I just celebrated my 29th year anniversary is I knew at 16, based on my experience of the models that had been around me in a relationship, that two things I was certain of. I was either going to marry for love or never marry at all. Those were my only two things. I was either going to marry for love or not marry at all because obligation, it was already my life. I was already so obligated to everything. And like what you said, boy, but presentation looked good,
Mhm,
right? Like
mhm,
on paper, everything. But I feel like it's that's why it is the most important decision we make because
mhm.
it's a matter of the heart. Paper can only get you so far.
Amen. Amen. And at some point that paper is gonna right. It's not
Yeah.
strong. Paper is
Yeah.
not strong. Right.
Right.
And at some point, that paper is gonna get tested. And then where will you be?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, I remember just going like in my head, I'm going on paper. This guy, like, if I said it right now, you'd be like, wow, it was tough. I mean, like this dude was, I mean, financially, he was where you would want to be. He was getting ready to open a car dealership. I mean, like, just like
Yeah. He had all the things that,
all the
yeah,
things.
he even had the ambition that you're looking for. I mean, beyond paper, you've got yourself ambition. And he probably was easy to look at, right?
Of
So you
course.
have all the,
And
yeah.
so,
Of course, it would be the toughest because you're looking at it from security.
mhm,
There's we can't deny that, ladies. Come on. Like everybody, oh well, women can do yes, we can
yeah.
do all things. But there's also a part of us that's like, I also like security.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that like our biggest thing? Like, we want to know that we can be secure. That's like our biggest thing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm literally, so I'm trying to make lists. I'm trying to weigh it out.
Yes, I
Going,
we all are dying to know which way did this go?
and so before I could, but in this, I'm negotiating my list. Are these
Mm,
things negotiable? Are these things not negotiable? And here's what it came down to for me is that I remember at this point, I have a child. And on that list for me was that this person, whoever he would be, would actually, they have to get along with my son. Like the person there has to
yeah.
be a bond additionally, not just with me, but with him. And a
That's a big
heart
one for us ladies. That's a big one.
and a not just but a heart bond.
Yeah.
And let me just be real at this point. Like I didn't have my son around the men I was dating. I'm just gonna just like
Yeah.
once again, that was just one of those downloads. I wasn't playing
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
We could go out, we could have dates, but you weren't gonna interact with my son, period, the end, unless there was something to interact for. You just
Yeah.
wasn't that
That
wasn't
was
not
one of your non-deal breaking
Yeah, this wasn't gonna
spaces.
happen. But I knew that I had to make a decision, and so I had to let them have some interaction so that I could see what was real.
Yeah.
And in the interaction, because this person kept telling me, I'm really great with kids. I'm really great with kids. I am so great with kids. And I was like, okay, so let us see. And so there was one interaction, and in that interaction, he was not great with kids. Okay, can I just
Uh,
he was very controlling. Don't touch this, and I have a 2-year-old son. Like, at this point, he's jumping, he's a toddler.
yeah. Yes. Yes.
And it was very apparent to me that though they thought they were good with kids, there wasn't patience, wasn't kindness,
Mhm.
there wasn't like wrapping his arms around him to show him things or teach him things. It was, don't touch my stuff, sit right there in the chair and don't move. And I was like, wow, you
Okay,
are.
well, but let me get a little controversial here. What if there's some people listening going, "Well, it was just the first time." Like it was the first time. How were you able to gauge that that first interaction might end up being the longevity of who that person is? Like, was it something you saw or was it something you felt?
It was both. Well, okay,
Ah,
so I'll say this. Okay, I'll say this part too is that there were some red flags prior
to
to
the
that.
perfect paper guy.
There were some red flags, and I had to either acknowledge it or
Mm,
figure out a way that I had to get real about it. So there
ah,
were some things, right? So there were some, I'm not quite sure, things that had happened prior. So do I ignore those and maybe push on to see if we could really have a relationship or a family? or will this be the defining moment? Because I had already had some questions.
Got it. Okay. So there was some lead up to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There
Okay.
lead up to it. And, and this is the funny one. I had a birthday. And so you hear me just hear me like, I get it. So the guy picks me up in his Porsche. You understand? Okay, you feel me.
Yeah.
Picks me up in his Porsche, takes me to dinner on my birthday. And our dinner conversation was, tell me all the things you like about me.
Yeah.
It's my birthday.
Yeah. See, so you can kind of see where the Porsche comes in too, right?
But it was a Porsche, right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So from there, it wasn't very many weeks later that the interaction with my son happened. So
Yeah.
I
It
went
kind of just solidified.
exactly. So when I saw him being super controlling, I was like super controlling with the 2-year-old, and I'm just watching and observing. I realized that there wasn't the level of warmth that I
Yeah.
wanted for me and or for my son. And then that was really sort of the defining moment. And I said, okay, I'm giving this back. I don't know. Like, I don't know what else, but I'm having the courage right now to give this back. So I gave him back to the universe. I
Because
gave
you've done all 8 steps at
I
this point,
right, and I can't
personally.
right, and I can't receive this. So I had to
Yeah.
go back and insist, no, there still has to be something better. There has to be something
Yeah.
better. And I remember, I'm driving down the streets. I grew up in Detroit, and I'm driving down the street in Detroit, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna have the courage that I'm gonna have someone that's going to love me for me. I'm just
Can we just take a moment there, ladies, because I feel like that is such a pivotal moment for all of us because we say so often, like, I'm going to have the courage to step into this, job interview. I'm going to have the courage to go back to school. But what about this most important piece of like, I'm going to have the courage to be me? That's real, especially when somebody that looks shiny, diamondy, bright on paper, and then in your heart, like you're not going to go in there, but you
mhm,
also have to have the courage to say, I'm going to do it because I heard this saying in my personal development days that how you do one thing is how you do everything.
mhm,
Because when you start to compromise in one space, you compromise in another space. So when
yes,
you say like, I'm going to have the courage to be me, it was really also the courage to be the best mom for you, right? The
mhm,
best
mhm, mhm,
employee for the best of everything because you're not going to compromise because every time we do that we go elsewhere and
yeah,
compromise.
yeah,
I
and
just wanted to put that out there because I feel like matters of the heart, intimacy, we give reasons, well, he's just like that.
right, right. But when we do that, something dies in us. Something
Yes.
small dies with us every time we compromise that way. Like something just makes us shrink inside the more we do that.
Yeah.
It's like we sort of get dry. We sort of just that's where that which is why self-acceptance I think is so important. But something hurts us when we take those moments of compromise, especially moments of the heart. That's why it's so crucial. And it was so scary. It just but it was but I knew I said, I'm just gonna believe, like I'm just gonna trust that there is someone who will love me for me.
And here we are 30 years
Yeah.
later. Oh my
It
God.
wasn't very long after that statement, after me insisting that no. Now, but we have that choice. It's like an open book test. You have that
Yeah.
choice. I could have accepted that dude. And we all know what would have happened. It wouldn't have lasted. I would have been hurt. Once again, my heart would have been hurt. I wouldn't have felt worth. I'd have just gone around the mountain
Right.
all over
It was
again.
the evidence of the pain, not
Mhm.
the yes.
So it wasn't very much longer that I met my husband, the man that became my husband. And, like he sort of broke my rules. Like he met my son like the same weekend that I met him. Like I was like, well, hold on.
Well, he
But
insisted.
he insisted. And, I saw him when he met my son, the two of them got down on the floor and they were playing cars like on the floor and they were wrestling on the floor. And he took the time to like take my son and put his shoes on and tie his shoes. Like he put him in his lap and he was just tying his shoes and then he was like, "Did you want something to eat?" And he would get him something to eat, but he would hold him while he and I was like,
That's such a stark difference, right?
I went, this guy is good with
And he didn't tell you ahead of time.
he
That's
just it was like he met him, they hugged, he picked him up and threw I mean, like it was just like I mean, I'm standing there kind of like in awe going, what is happening? And they're
yeah,
playing and laughing. And so, there was a saying that kids know. Like kids will respond to a pure heart because they're so pure hearted. They don't
100%.
have they don't have all those barriers and things that we have. So I was watching him and I was watching how he responded and he was still full of joy and happy and giggling and laughing. And I really just got settled. I was like, wow, okay, okay.
But did he meet your other criterias as well?
We,
See, I mean, the audience wants to know. It's like, well, okay, you're good with your son, but what
woo,
if all the other parts were
right.
terrible? Thing or
No, no, no. He wouldn't have even met. Remember, he wouldn't have even met my son. He wouldn't have
right,
even
right,
met
right.
him, right? And so, the crazy part is that I met my husband at my cousin's wedding. It's just ridiculous. Like, so we met. We just instantly started doing stuff together. Like it was the rehearsal dinner and we're just doing stuff and I'm
Oh,
going, what? And then, then there this
was totally not
this
even in the same frame mind of
no.
like what dating and the whole thing.
Oh
It just
no.
became like you immersed in each other's lives without talking about it.
And just, like the funny part is that when I saw him, I thought he was a cousin that I had never met before. And so I was kind of looking at him like, maybe that's my cousin.
Wait. Can we be clear? He isn't a cousin, though.
He's not a cousin, but he was friends with my cousin, which is crazy. Like the whole
Oh.
paternal side of my family knew him and I didn't. So it's the wedding. We're all like, hi, hello, everybody's festive. And, then there was the rehearsal dinner and, we were kind of hanging out and he made the move with the arm around the couch. And I'm going, what is happening? What is going on? And, long story short, after that, we had one date because he stayed in Detroit longer. He lived in Washington, D.C. at the time. And so he stayed longer. We had one date, we
And then
went
that
out.
was it. The rest is history.
Then literally like after that one date, that's when he met my son. And then he went back to DC and then we kept talking. And then I went to DC like 2 weeks later. I mean, like it was just like, wow, like we're really gonna do this. And we really did. In like 6 weeks we were engaged. I mean, like it was
And
a
30
whirlwind.
years later. But I want to just go back to this beautifully wrapped 30 years to like there is a common denominator here. So
Mhm.
29 years, common denominator. It wasn't difficult to immerse in each other's life. It was
It really
sort of
wasn't.
like same with me. I knew really early like I'm never getting married because the truth is, I didn't know if love was real. Never, I don't see it. I grew up in an environment where marriage was very obligatory.
Mhm.
And so I just have never really, other than movies, which I knew
Right.
at that time is a bunch of falseness. So I just always thought in my heart, I'm never going to be married because I don't know if love is real. I don't know if
Right.
it's a real thing. And then it kind of happened very similar where you met, and I met him through my godmother, which
Okay.
was also really crazy because I was like, when old people try to hook you up,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm good. And, then we just immersed in each other's lives in a
Hmm.
way that didn't feel challenging. We didn't even know we were dating. We thought we were
It
just
just
hanging out
take it
and
out.
being friends. And I just liked being with him. He liked being with me. And like you, it wasn't until I got that surprise kiss, I was like, wait, we like
What?
each other? Are we
And
doing
we
this?
we did. Okay, like
Right.
and it's
Not to say that I'm not saying that that is how, okay, we were both younger then, and
yeah.
midlife is obviously different. Not
Mhm.
to say that that's how it's always going to be, but what you're saying is these 8 steps is what really leads us back to ourselves, is
It
what it
will.
sounds like.
It
that
Mhm.
when you acknowledge, which is, ladies, getting honest with ourselves sometimes, that's the
Mhm.
thing. And then we recognize, which I like how you said it different though. It's not about recognition in terms of, oh, you better recognize yourself, but to really be aware,
Mhm.
aware of who you are, what you like, what you don't like,
Mhm.
and then to overcome. I mean,
Yeah.
every step feels kind of monumental at our age,
Right?
but the big one is the forgive, because I really feel like you can't get into dreaming or becoming unless you let go and you
Yes.
forgive that we
Yep.
make mistakes, they make mistakes. We
Mhm.
all, it's like a hot pot of things we can go back and say, oh, what were we thinking? Forgive that. Because when you said, then we got a dream, when you were talking about it, I thought, oh, this is where women get really caught up because we dream first.
Right.
We don't
Right.
do those 4 steps first. We go
Right.
straight into dreaming of like,
Mhm.
this is who I want him to be. This is what I like. Where that paper perfect guy would have clouded us because we didn't do the first 4 steps.
You're feeling
Right?
it. And the thing is we really can't skip the first 4 because
Yeah,
that's really the
no.
work. That's the work.
Yeah.
And once we get on the other side of forgiveness, like, the heavens part, and it's like now you're sort of cleaned out. You're ready. You got that blank canvas. You really have done the work because
Hmm.
those first 4 steps really are like they are monumental, and we don't rush through them. I really, when
Yeah.
I'm working with folks, really, we gotta take the time. The other aspect of dreaming to receiving, that can happen like they can happen overlapping each other. But
Yeah.
those first 4, if we try to skip over it, it's actually going to take us longer.
Ah,
We gotta do it. We gotta deal with it. We gotta be willing to snot cry and
yeah.
you know
The courage, that
eh,
courage really
right,
kicks in.
embrace what okay, and let's just say that someone's in midlife and it's not been pretty. Okay, let's just
Mm,
let's just be real. Like, it's not been pretty. When I was here going through this, I was 25, and at that point, it had not been pretty. I had been kept. Listen, if you people want to tell me God's not real, God kept me from some stuff. Like, there were some times that
mm, mm.
could have really gone sideways, and I go, man, I just. And then praise
Yeah.
God we didn't have the internet back, because just, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, right?
So true.
So let's just say, like, there's someone who's in their 40s, 50s. I don't care, because principles are principles and they're going to work
Yeah.
no matter what. So wherever you
Yeah.
might find yourself, it's still so important that you at least go through the first 4.
Mhm.
Once you sort of deal with that, the others can come. It doesn't have to take a
Yeah.
lot for the rest of it to flow. But if we don't actually do that and get to a place of forgiveness, our heart, it's because it's really, really all about that. Our
Yeah.
heart won't be mended enough to receive something new and good and pure. And I'm not saying people are
Right.
perfect, but when I say divine perfect mate, I mean perfect for you. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't mean they are.
That's it right there. Yeah.
I mean that my husband, he couldn't be your husband because
Right.
he wouldn't be perfect for you. But
Yes.
guess what?
Right.
His world, he's perfect for me. So,
Yes. I have said that so often about my husband. Like, I had a girlfriend say once, like, I'm not trying to break you down or anything, but I don't understand why everybody thinks he's so hot. He's not that handsome. And I was like, but he is to me. Right? Like, he's perfect to me. Like, that's all I knew how to answer that is I don't want him to be perfect.
right?
Nobody has to be Idris Alba or Brad Pitt, except for Brad Pitt and Idris. But he is perfect to me. And I think maybe that's where we also get skewed, especially as we're in our midlife, because we've
Hmm.
been through some pain.
Hmm.
We've had some serious heartbreak. But
Hmm.
I really love how you keep going back to, but you have to work through those 4 steps. Yeah,
Hmm.
these 4 steps is the foundation of whether or not you even want to be in a
Right.
relationship or
Because
not,
you may go
right?
through it, right? Then we may go through it and you may go, you know what? I'm really happy being single. And it's like, you know what? But
Yeah.
now you're not
Hey,
pressured by outside forces of people that say you should, or, you know, maybe you could. No, because
Yeah.
then
Or
you'll
I've got a
know,
blind date for you.
oh my gosh, you know, but you'll be so secure in you
Yeah.
that whatever you decide to do going forward, because you can still dream, you can still become,
Yeah.
right? You can still insist that life brings you what it is that you want. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's so good, because who you are, you're going to be more of yourself, but
Yeah.
so much that you love seeing you. You love the life that you are creating, that you're carving out. Like, you're going to love it. So
Yes. And it's a reflection. Yeah, your husband becomes a reflection of, or your mate or your partner, becomes a reflection of that happiness, of that love.
Mhm.
So, see, this is why when she first introduced herself, I was like, "Oh, so you're a matchmaker." And, because that's like a big deal. Like
These days,
television
right?
has that, like the 90-Day Fiance, Love Island, the $1 million matchmaker, The Bachelor, which is still going
Going
on, by the
on, right?
way, right?
Well,
All of
right.
that is still happening. But what you're saying is you are about the divine perfect mate, not
Yes.
divine like it's out there, but divine what's in you.
That's why you have
That's
become
it.
my sister.
This is it. So for all my single friends, you are definitely getting a copy of this because I get it. I get what you're saying. Because people say they're, especially just in the title, divine perfect mate, there's an assumption it's a matchmaker, it's Tinder, it's all of the things.
Mhm.
But you're getting down to the heart, the core, the soul of
Mm,
how do we make this so important decision at
mhm.
an age where maybe we're wore out of decision making. Maybe we,
Mhm.
and it's really not about that. It's what you said at the very end. Then we get to look at ourselves. We get to be in love with who we are.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. And even for married people like me, we still, we've been together a long time. You still want to be in love with, there's some certain circumstance, life transitions be
Yes.
happening. And it's like, I don't know if I like you today, but we have to be reminded of these 4 steps. And it's a constant acknowledgement and recognition and overcoming and forgiveness that I think will never end as because that's what helps us to dream.
And I'm
Oh
giving you like the
my gosh, I get it.
you got it.
Get it. Okay, so
Got
I'm
it.
going to ask you a question as we're getting to that I asked all our audience, but you kind of already answered it, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Okay.
So if you're walking down the street and you
Mhm.
walk into a cafe and you see 25-year-old Kim,
Mm.
what would you say to her that she would actually listen to?
Such a good question, because 25 was when I was pregnant and all of that. And so I think I would tell her, fret not. Fret not. You're okay. You're going to be okay. Like, everything's going to be okay.
Oh, that
Fret.
just sent chills.
Yeah.
That just sent chills.
I was in a that's when I was, you know,
Yeah.
I was, man, 25 was a crucial age for me. Um where everything was, the rugs were all pulled, and I was free floating. So
Yeah.
I would tell her, fret not.
That's
Fret not.
so good. I love it. I love it because I think sometimes we don't need a whole lesson. Just need to hear that somebody sees us, right? We
Mhm.
just want to be
Mhm.
seen, especially during such full of turmoil time of like,
Mhm.
well, I really appreciate your truth on here. I really appreciate your authenticity, your energy. Like I feel like there's love, intimacy is our greatest hope and our
Mhm.
greatest pain. And it feels so good to hear from someone that makes it a real thing. Like it's not there's too much information out there, too many resources of quick
Mhm.
schemes,
Yep.
so to
Yep.
speak.
Yep.
And we just have to like know, like you said, you can't rush those 4 steps. And
Mm.
who knows how long it would take. I will input this. The first conversation I had with Kim, she said, I didn't even know this is what I do. And then she had a hairdresser. who she worked this process through for 2 years. So when you
Mhm.
first told me, I thought 6 months, 2 years. That's how 2 years is what it took for that individual. It's not for
Yep.
everybody, but 2 years. And now she is in love.
Yep.
She's in the
Uh-huh.
best
The relation
emotional relationship ever.
Yeah, and
And so,
she turns 40 in a few days. So you see, it doesn't matter,
yeah,
right? It doesn't matter. She still took the journey. But if I had
yes,
told her that it would take 2 years, she probably wouldn't have done it. She probably wouldn't have heard
right,
me. But
right,
but then she understood that it was worth it. It's
yes.
so easy and free and relaxed, the relationship that she's in, that, it's almost a point where women can exhale. Like she just like, it's
Yes.
just so easy. It's just, I don't have to put on airs. He doesn't have to put on airs. We're not pretentious.
Ah,
And here we are together now, starting to create a life that we want. And I love it that she told me, she's like, Kim, we'll take it from here. And I'm going, yes,
oh
that's
my
what it's
gosh.
all about.
Yeah. And the level of sustainability is so much, right? Because she's worked through some of her. And so I just want to encourage our audience who may be single, who are in midlife, who are looking for answers. The
Mm-hmm.
answers are nowhere to be found but within ourselves.
That's
And
it.
all of Kim's information will be in our show notes. So you can follow her, you can connect with her and see if this is the right direction for you because we want to take our heart is such a serious player in our life. Our soul is the commander of our life. And if we can get to healing those pieces, then
Yeah.
we're going to be okay. So
Yes. Yes.
thank you
Yes.
so much, Kim, for being here.
Oh,
Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank
yeah.
you for being the
Sir.
light in a dark path of romantic intimacy. And
I
until
love it.
next time, everyone, if this conversation between us was like, this hit me, please share. Please give the love and opportunity for others to hear our conversation. It might just be the spark you needed. Who knows?
Mhm.
Right? All right. Until
All
next
right,
time,
my
everyone,
dear.
thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you so much for being with me on today's journey. If you felt something resonate, if you saw yourself in this conversation, please take a moment to subscribe. Share it with a friend who needs this space and leave a review. It helps others find us, and it's a small way you can be a part of this powerful movement. Ladies, this isn't just a podcast. It's a community, a revolution, a place where midlife women come together to embrace our hard-earned wisdom and vibrant truth. So thank you for being part of this. Remember, it's time. It's time to step into our truth. No more holding back. Midlife is ours to own, and it's only getting started. So, until next time, take a breath, honor your journey, and live with audacity, courage, and joy. This is our time, our truth, unraveled, revealed, and celebrated.